The Baker's Dozen. Baker's Dozen Ltd's 13 outlets bake and sell their own fresh bread and cakes. Revenue has risen quickly since the bakeries started selling to hotels and restaurants, as well as the general public. Pastries and pies are selling well, but shareholders are finding annual results disappointing. It seems that there is very little left over to pay dividends or to reinvest in the business as retained profit. So what's the problem? The company reports a healthy gross profit, since its cost of goods sold is low. Raw material, essential flour, water, eggs, and sugar are cheap, and most bakery staff are on minimum wage. However, operating profit is much less impressive. As the business has expanded, operating costs such as rent, electricity, administrative salaries, insurance, and marketing have increased considerably. So net profit after tax has been a big disappointment, not to mention all the money that disappears in corporation tax and depreciation. The B2B market requires customized vans that lose value very quickly. In conclusion, it seems there is still profit to be made in baking, but it's certainly not easy money.
Monkey business? Scientists put a group of 5 monkeys in a cage. At the top of a ladder, they hung a banana. As soon as a monkey climbed the ladder, he was showered with cold water. The group soon gave up trying to reach the banana. Next, the scientists disconnected the cold water and replaced one of the 5 monkeys. When the new monkey tried to climb the ladder, the others immediately pulled him down and gave him a good beating. The new monkey learned quickly and enthusiastically joined in beating the next new recruit. One by one, the 5 original monkeys were replaced. Although none of the new group knew why, no monkey was ever allowed to climb the ladder. Like the monkeys in the experiment, every culture and organization has its unwritten rules. These rules are probably the single most influential factor on the work environment and employee happiness. Though many work cultures embrace positive values such as loyalty, solidarity, efficiency, quality, personal development, and customer service, all too often they reinforce negative attitudes. In many businesses, an unwritten rule states that working long hours is more important than achieving results. In one medium-sized company, the boss never leaves the office until it is dark. Outside in the car park, he checks to see who is still working and whose office windows are dark. Staff who risk leaving earlier now leave their office lights on all night. Other common unwritten rules state that the boss is always right, even when he's wrong. If you're not at your desk, you're not working. Nobody complains because nothing ever changes. Women, ethnic minorities, and cover 50Os are not promoted. The customer is king, but don't tell anyone because management are more interested in profitability. Often, nobody really knows where their unwritten rules came from, but like the new monkeys, new recruits pick them up very quickly, despite the best intentions of induction and orientation program. The way staff speak to management, to customers, and to each other gives subtle but strategic clues to an organization's culture, as do the differences between what is said, decided, or promised, and what actually gets done. New staff quickly learn when their ideas and opinions are listened to themselves. They learn which assignments and aspects of their performance will be checked and evaluated, and whose objectives and instructions they can safely ignore. Monkeys may be more direct, but work culture is every bit as effective at enforcing unwritten rules as a good beating.
Manila calling. Manila is turning the tables in the business process outsourcing market. A. Times have changed in the Philippines. In a traditionally poor, deeply religious, and conservative country, suddenly 20-somethings are spending freely in bars, restaurants, and shopping malls as they start or leave their night shifts. After decades of exporting its labor force to richer countries, Manila is turning the tables in the business process outsourcing market. B. In the Philippines, emigration is a long-established tradition. Every year, 1 million Filipinos leave their islands, hoping for a better life in Asia and Middle East. As welcome as the 10B, 5% of GDP, they send home to their families may be, a decade ago, there were worries that emigration was slowing the country's development and growth. The government turned to India's call center industry.
Copying the Indian model, Manila introduced tax break and incentives for telecoms companies, as well as sponsored training schemes to help students fine-tune their language and communication skills. C. At the same time, Indian call centers were becoming a less attractive investment for American and European businesses. Not only were their generous tax holidays coming to an end, but irritations like unreliable infrastructure and having to bus employees to and from work were increasing. In addition, the opportunity to spread risk by diversifying into the Philippines came at a time when Indian outsourcing operators were having to replace up to half their staff every year. D. The Philippines' copycat strategy has been so successful that American customers are now far more likely to be talking to a Filipino helping advisor than an Indian. With revenues of nearly $11 billion, Philippine outsourcing now employs 650,000 people, almost twice as many as Indian. What's more, operators believe their customers are likely to be more satisfied with the service they receive from well-educated young Filipinos who grew up listening to American pop music and reading American comics. A U.S. colony until independence in 1946, the Philippines has maintained strong cultural links with its former masters. In a country where the national language, Tagalog, is not most people's mother tongue, English is a second rather than a foreign language. E. Not satisfied with outselling the market table leader, the Philippine government hopes to double the market to $26 billion in the next 5 years. However, staying on top of the pile may prove harder than getting there. As it grows, the new outsourcing industry is discovering how much more difficult it can be to find experienced managers and competent engineers than to hire young English-speaking helpline advisors. Indian, on the other hand, with 4 million college graduates a year, is moving upmarket. Margins for more complex financial and engineering consultancy projects are much higher than for simply handling customer calls. In the longer term, Indian operators may be happy to leave Filipinos to pick up the phone while they pick up the pace on more profitable assignments. Rap rage. Surveys show that intense frustration and even injury caused by modern packaging is on the increase, especially amongst seniors. 70% of over 50s admit to injuring fingers, hands, and shoulders as a result of rap rage, a new term used to describe the irritation and loss of self-control experienced when struggling to open wrapping. In recent years, manufacturers have been under increasing pressure to keep food items sterile, to provide child-proof packaging for dangerous or toxic household cleaning products, to protect products during transport, and to reduce theft from shops. At the same time, they are forced to keep costs to a minimum. As a result, packaging has become ever more resistant to fingers, nails, and even teeth. In their frustration with plastic packs, which defeat all attempts to open them, even with scissors, consumers use all kinds of tools and knives. At best, the product inside the packaging is at risk. At worst, it is hardly surprising that 60,000 people a year are injured in Great Britain alone. Some of the most common triggers of rap rage are processed cheese packages, tightly wrapped CDs, child-proof tops on medicine bottles, and milk and juice cartons. Ring-pull cans are particularly problematic for older fingers and delicate skin. Even fighting to remove price tags from items bought as gifts can raise blood pressure, and unnecessary overpackaging is pure provocation to the ecologically minded. However, it seems there's light at the end of the tunnel. Manufacturers are listening to customers' complaints, and some have begun to research and invest in more consumer-friendly packaging. The bottom line is that if they don't react, the packaging that offers too much resistance.
OpenOffice.org 3. Great software, easy to use, and it's free. OpenOffice.org 3 is the leading open-source office software suite. It is available in many languages and works on all common computers. It stores all your data in an international open standard format and can also read and write files from other common Office software packages. It can be downloaded and used completely free of charge for any purpose. A new approach to Office productivity software. B. OpenOffice.org 3 gives you everything you'd expect in Office software. You can create dynamic documents and analyze data, design eye-catching presentations, produce dramatic illustrations, and open up your databases. You can publish your work in portable document format, PDF, and release your graphics in Flash format without needing any additional software. C. If you're used to using other Office suites, such as Microsoft Office RE, you'll be completely at home with OpenOffice.org 3. However, as you become used to OpenOffice.org 3, you'll start to appreciate the extras that make your life easier. You can, of course, continue to use your old Microsoft Office files without any problems, and if you need to exchange files with people still using Microsoft Office, that's no problem either. What's in the suite? D. Writer, a powerful tool for creating professional documents. You can easily integrate images and charts in documents, create everything from business letters to complete books and web content. Calc, a feature-packed spreadsheet. Use advanced spreadsheet functions and decision-making tools to perform sophisticated data analysis. Use built-in charting tools to generate impressive 2D and 3D charts. Impress, the fastest way to create effective multimedia presentations. Your presentations will truly stand out with special effects, animation, and high-impact drawing tools. Draw, produce everything from simple diagrams to dynamic 3D illustrations and special effects. Find out more. Try it today. Get OpenOffice.org 3 now. Go to www.openoffice.org for an introduction in Flash format.
10 tips for creating a career that lights your fire. Have you ever found yourself so excited about something that the energy it generates just seems to pull you along? Imagine feeling that every day in the work you do. It's possible. Begin exploring your passions and discovering ways, big or small, to incorporate them into your life. 1. Get to know yourself. Before you start off pursuit of a career that really lights your fire, take some time to do some serious self-exploration. Make a list of all the things in your life that you have really enjoyed. It could be work or play, an event, a period of time in your life, etc. Pick one and start digging into the reasons why. Get beyond what you love doing and break it down into the underlying characteristics. Think of it as identifying your passion's building blocks. 2. Brainstorm. Once you have a picture of the things that light your fire, brainstorm ways you could incorporate them into your life. Write them down alone or with friends, in one session, or on a small pad of paper you carry with you. Above all, be creative. You never know what crazy idea is going to spark the big one. 3. Explore. Ask, ask, ask. Once you have identified some things you think you might be interested in, identify people who are knowledgeable in those areas and contact them. Explain that you are exploring your options and ask if you can pick their brains. You'll get some fantastic insights if you make this a habit, not to mention making some great contacts along the way. 4. Baby steps. The fear of jumping in the deep end of the passion pool keeps many people from swimming at all. Remember, there's a shallow end too, so you can still enjoy splashing in the water. Look for baby steps you can take that will bring your passion into your life and keep you moving towards your long-term goal. 5. Identify your obstacles. What things are getting in your way? Make a list. Maybe they're real financial obstacles, or perhaps the need for more training. Maybe they're internal. What's stopping you? Fear, self-doubt, simple inertia? We all have voices in our heads that are always telling us, you can't do that, you're not good enough, what will they think, etc. Identifying and acknowledging those voices is the first step in taking their power away. 6. Create a passion posse. In my interviews with people who have followed their dream, the most commonly mentioned success factor has been the support of the people around them. Friends, family, and colleagues can all be a great source of support and inspiration. It can be an informal support network or a regularly scheduled meeting to exchange ideas and brainstorm solutions to changes. 7. Re-examine your definitions of success and failure. What is your definition of success? Is it getting in the way? Our culture places a lot of emphasis on material accomplishments, status, etc. Unfortunately, that gets in the way of real happiness for a lot of people who choose to stay on the treadmill in pursuit of that version of success. Perhaps you're not at a point where you can or want to change that definition of success. That's okay. Don't. Instead, try identifying one or two less common ways of identifying success, ones that come from the heart, and try to move towards them as well. Our definition of failure, which tends to be all or nothing, also gets in the way. If you try something and it doesn't pan out, how do you see that? Is it a failure, or is it an opportunity to learn? If you fail in an effort to move forward your passion, it's not really failure. Think of it as a step in the right direction. Taking a longer-term view can help with this. 8. Make a plan. Whether it's a high-level overview or a step-by-step action plan, it's up to you. You know how you work best. Creating a plan will force you to think things through and add some comfortable structure to something that can seem very up in the air and undefined. 9. Act. Today. The face is, the time will never be right. Something is always going to be less than optimum. Don't wait. Do something right away that will move you toward your passion. What 2 things can you do right away that will start the ball rolling? They don't need to be earth-shattering. They just need to happen. Commit to making it happen. Let it out of your brain and into the open. Say, I am going to do this. Say it out loud to yourself. Say it to a friend. Put it in writing and put it where you can see it. Once it's out in the open, it will have room to grow. And that's exactly what you want.
Want to change the world, or just want to change? Whether you are still a student or already in work, a gap year placement is a unique opportunity to broaden your horizons, enhance your CV, and step back from your studies or career to decide what you want to do with your life. Perhaps more importantly, a gap year placement is the chance to do something concrete and tangible to help people in need in underprivileged areas of the world. Placements are designed for people over 17 years of age and run for 6 or 9 months throughout the world. All placements begin with an intensive orientation course to help you find your feet. For some countries, an optional 10-day intensive language course is recommended. Participants work as volunteers in sectors such as education, conservation, media support, and care work. Food and accommodation are provided, but participants pay their own travel costs. To apply, choose your destination and complete and send in the application from, downloadable from our website www.gapyearplacement.org, together with your CV. Please note that due to an increasing number of applications, places cannot be guaranteed. Shortlisted candidates will be invited to attend a selection interview in their country of residence. Read the 4 descriptions of gap year placements. Care work in South Africa. Population, 45 million. Official language, 11 official languages, including English and Afrikaans. Placements, schools for 4 to 18-year-olds with special needs. Job, classroom assistant in a special needs school, providing classroom support and working on an individual basis with children with mental and physical disabilities. Working week, 45 hours, some evening duties. Conservation in Malaysia. Population, 24 million. Official language, Bahasa Malay. Main religion, Islam. Placement, conservation work. Job, various conservation projects, construction and maintenance of trails, identification of species, ecotourism projects, organic farms, animal sanctuaries, turtle conservation projects. Work is physically demanding. Care work in Costa Rica. Population, 4 million. Official language, Spanish. Indian languages and Patois also spoken. Main religion, Roman Catholic. Placement, care work. Job, care work placements in homes for children with disabilities or orphanages, assisting individual children, organizing activities, helping with lessons, or assisting at mealtimes. Intensive Spanish language course recommended. Teaching in Tanzania. Population, 37 million, over 129 tribes. Official language, Swahili and English. Main religion,
Christianity and Islam. Placement, teaching in primary or secondary schools. Job, teaching 5 days a week, all subjects, including sport and drama. Participants must have excellent English. 4 weeks school holidays per year.
Retail finds its new best friend in social media marketing. Every online shopper knows that a single internet purchase will be followed by an uninterrupted stream of offers tailored to their profile and tastes. Once it's got its claws into your digital ID, e-commerce doesn't let go easily. Make a cash purchase in a mall, on the other hand, and you leave the retailer none the wiser about who you are, what kind of products you prefer, or whether you'll ever set tool in their store again. Until very recently, offline stores were at a distinct disadvantage when it came to knowing their customers. But just when the retail battle seemed almost lost, app mania came flying to brick-and-mortar's rescue. The consumer's love affair with smartphone apps has not only saved physical retail's bacon, it may even be turning the tables in its favor. Because in-store conversation rates are far higher than the very small percentage of e-commerce hits that actually make a sale, if apps get shoppers through the door, high street stores know they're winning. So just how is app mania boosting that all-important foot traffic? Old friends like Facebook and new services like Shopkick and Foursquare provide offline stores with online data on their visitors by encouraging users to check in via their apps as they move around town. Stores and service outlets can track consumer behavior, recognize returning customers, and send them personalized offers. In return, app users can let their friends know exactly where they are and what they're buying. If that seems somehow less than essential, they can also collect points and win vouchers and prizes. Other new services are taking advantage of smartphone technology and real-world store visits to push individual brands and products. Services like Barcode Hero and Sticky Bits invite users to compare prices, post product reviews, and win prizes by scanning barcodes in stores. When we get a pack or a can off the shelf and into the consumer's hands, there's a very strong chance they'll actually purchase that product, enjoy it, and become a regular customer, say a brand manager for a household name in food products. After an initial period of skepticism, the majors have been persuaded to get involved by serious user numbers. Foursquare has over 3 million. High street retailers like Walgreens, Starbucks, and Gap, and service providers like American Express are running app-based campaigns, while major brands like Pepsi, Lipton, and Campbell's are also investing in social media. With a potential 1 billion Facebook users checking into local businesses through Facebook Places, physical retailers can finally compete with e-commerce on equal terms. Savvy shoppers, however, have already seen loyalty cards, coupons, stamps, and air miles come and go. Will they be willing to keep checking into venues and scanning barcodes? The results of new marketing concepts borrowed from digital gaming suggest they will. One of the strongest motivators in social media is status and identity. Collecting points to obtain virtual titles like Duchess of Books or Queen of Lipstick combines the powerfully addictive experiences of social media, interactive competition, and shopping, allowing high street names and brands to hook users into a self-perpetuating race to connect to others and affirm their individual identity. Like it or not, virtual browsing and real-world shopping are converging. In social media marketing, retail has found its new best friend. Once it's got its claws into your digital ID, e-commerce doesn't let go easily.
Customer Care Questionnaire. You've just started a new job selling sportswear and equipment. 1. What do you advise when a customer can't decide between a cheap and an expensive product? 2. What do you say if a customer asks for a discount? 3. What do you recommend doing if a customer is angry? 4. What would you do if a customer injured her foot by dropping weight training equipment on it? 5. What will you do if a customer breaks a valuable piece of equipment? 6. What would you say if a customer said you knew nothing about sport? 7. What do you suggest doing if a customer asks you for your personal phone number? 8. What would you do if a customer complained about your attitude? 9. What will you do if you accidentally shortchange a customer? 10. What would you do if a customer made racist or sexist remarks? 11. What do you recommend if a customer brings back a set of golf clubs and demands a refund? 12. What would you do if you saw a customer steal some expensive running shoes? 13. What do you do if the item the customer wants is out of stock? 14. What will you say if a customer asks why your prices are higher than online stores? 15. What would you do if a customer left their credit card in the store?
Elastic ethics. It was Groucho Marx who said that if people didn't like his principles, he had others. And unfortunately, business people and companies are not always as reliable or as trustworthy as we would like. Product descriptions are frequently not as accurate as they could be, for example, when listing ingredients used in foodstuffs. Service is not always as prompt as we expect, even in so-called fast food restaurants. But it is perhaps in the world of advertisements that things are frequently deceptive and often confusing or deliberately misleading, sometimes making extravagant promises. No doubt, advertisers are neither more dishonest nor any less altruistic than the rest of us. They do not often make obviously false claims. It's just that, like Groucho, they sometimes seem a little too economical with the truth. Bakawa Community Center Project. Earlier this year, Meritech was asked to invest in a project to build a community center in Bakawa. As a rule, group policy is to give encouragement but only limited financial support to such community projects. However, in this case, it was thought that the benefits to the company's image justified more active and extensive support, in particular after the recent difficult negotiations with the local authorities over the access road to the new workshop. Moreover, it was felt that employee involvement in the project would bring substantial benefits in terms of motivation and job satisfaction. It is therefore recommended that the company should contribute 50% of the funding. In addition, selected employees should manage key areas of the project during work time, such as design, fundraising, and construction. Naturally, the project will require a high level of commitment from our staff in order to complete all stages on time, and it is hoped that department managers will be able to reduce staff workloads for the duration of the project. In conclusion, it is believed that the community and company will derive numerous benefits from the project, and that overall, the company's image within the community will be greatly improved. It is expected that an ongoing close relationship with the community will have a positive effect on two strategic areas: facilities and recruitment of our workforce locally. Minute of the Management Committee meeting, 15 April. Bakawa Community Center. JN reported that the plan had been favorably received at head office. Even so, there were concerns about the size of the investment and the project's impact on productivity. But he stressed that group management were aware of the need for good relations with local communities and would support Meritech's decision. Consequently, JN felt that they should go ahead. IC agreed that it was important to improve public relations, but emphasized the risk involved for production, for example, absenteeism and quality issues. She claimed that the project could become an excuse to take time off work, especially during the construction phase in the summer. CT reminded the meeting that only a small number of employees should be concerned. Obviously, department managers would organize cover for any absences. In other words, production should not halt. In brief, he suggested that the benefits in developing team spirit were clearly far greater than any potential risk to productivity. Finally, it was agreed that the project should approved.
Australia's leading independent vehicle recycling specialist. Every year, almost 1 million of Australia's 10 million cares reach the end of their useful lives. Phoenix provides a valuable community service by recycling over 75% of each vehicle. Phoenix's mission is to protect and preserve Australia's unique ecology. We take special care to ensure that hazardous materials and toxic substances are processed safely and securely with minimum risk to the environment or the population. At all our recycling centers across Australia, we believe in being good neighbors. We believe it is our duty to treat customers, employees, and suppliers fairly, to respect the local environment, and to be involved in community causes. Role play preparation. Divide into 3 groups: Port Catherine Planning Department, Port Catherine Residents Association, and Phoenix. Use the exercise opposite to gather information for your group in preparation for a public meeting to discuss the choice of site for a new recycling center in Port Catherine. You will need to make a presentation at the meeting summarizing your views, starting which site you prefer and why, and explaining why the other sites are not appropriate. You should also be prepared to ask the other group's questions and argue against their proposals if they conflict with your interests. Lessons in M&A. A risky business with a 70% plus failure rate. Some 1,500 to 2,000 mergers and acquisitions are completed per year worldwide, of which around half are in the U.S., with deals worth astronomical sums, aka $25 billion for HP Compaq, $35 billion for Daimler Chrysler, and $77 billion for ExxonMobil. It comes as no surprise that American executives are queuing up to go back to school for M&A classes. And although it's true that improving earnings and asset growth are not the only goals in a takeover, the face that many mergers result in a net loss of value suggests that schooling is sorely needed. Every year, hundreds of executives attend courses at prestigious institutions from New York to LA. In these open enrollment classes, the only condition of attendance is your, or rather your company's, ability to pay the fees, as much as $1,000 per gay. At least, that seems to demonstrate that the B schools know something about improving earnings. So what do you learn in a week with America's top finance professors? We aim to equip participants with techniques based on best practice in the key areas of merger activity performance, say Ted Austin from the Delaney School of Business. We cover all aspects of the conception, planning, due diligence, negotiation stages. Austin also draws on case studies and guest speakers to illustrate some of the most common acquirer errors: overvaluation, overconfidence, under-communicating, and underestimating the value of your newest assets, the people in the company you've just bought. In the turmoil of integration, your best engineers and managers may be more susceptible to attractive offers from the competition. There is no doubt that M&A is a risky business. With a 70% plus failure rate, you might think that B school professors would do well to discourage their students from launching takeover bids. But you'd be wrong. Austin describes some of the other good reasons for mergers and acquisitions. I suppose the most popular reasons mentioned in CEOs' messages to shareholders are developing synergies and making economies of scale. These are sometimes conveniently long-term goals. Other objectives may be increasing market share, cross-selling when, for example, a bank can sell insurance to its existing clients, diversification if a company is perceived to be too dependent on a niche market, or quite simply taking on debt, the so-called poison pill, in order to make itself a less attractive target for would-be buyers. The bankers, brokers, and lawyers will be pleased to know there are still many good reasons to merge. But what about the wrong reasons? They mainly involve excessive pride or arrogance on the part of management, says Austin. wanting to build too big an empire too quickly, and overextending the financial, commercial, and human capacity of the organization. These courses aim to help executives bring their CEOs back down to earth. Learning to follow your head rather than your heart is the key lesson in avoiding very expensive mistakes. Guidelines for slides. You shouldn't use more slides than necessary. 1 or 2 per minute of your presentation will be enough. Don't present information in sentences and paragraphs. Divide it up into individual points. Try not to present more than 6 points one slide. You should reduce text to key words and phrases. Try to have on more than 6 words per line. Don't forget, a graph or chart is much easier to understanding than a text. Guidelines for slides. 1 to 2 slides per minute of presentation. Information in points, not complete sentences. Maximum 6 points per slide. Reduce to key words and phrases. Maximum 6 words for each point. Graphs and visuals wherever possible. Reduce this presentation extract to 5 points on one slide. I'm here this morning to present the 3 possible scenarios, which, in our discussions with the bank and our consultants, we have identified as the 3 most realistic futures for our company. Our first option is to do nothing. We know that market is becoming more and more competitive, but if we are careful, we can continue to survive, at least for some years. Our second option is to borrow money to invest in new technologies in order, hopefully, to develop new high-margin products for our existing customers and for new markets. The third and final scenario is to launch a takeover bid to acquire Idacom, who already have the technology we need to enter those new markets immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, after carefully considering all the options, it is this third scenario which I intend to recommend. It is, of course, a high-risk scenario, but it is a scenario which holds enormous potential for our company.
Dylan rocks instrument market. New figures yesterday confirmed the meteoric rise of Dylan Instruments to #1 in Central America's musical instrument market. Panama-based newcomers Dylan, who have modeled their business on PC direct sales giant Dell, have pushed former market leader Instrumentos Musicales Mexicanos, IMM, into second place. Under the charismatic leadership of CEO Abejundio Dylan, the firm has used slick marketing and aggressive discounting to capture market share from all its competitors. We aim to have 50% of the local market in 2 years' time, trumpets Dylan. Competitors like IMM, Callisto, and Rey Sonido are considering alliances to ensure their survival. Several smaller players have already gone out of business.
Learns from mistakes. At Chicago-based Eisenhart Games, Derry Vincenti is known as the export wizard. Over the last 3 years, the pinball machine manufacturer has developed a profitable new market in the Middle East. Times are hard for pinball in the U.S., says Vincenti. Competition from video games and computers has hit small manufacturers like us really hard, so we have to find new markets. Eisenhart now has some 35% of a growing Middle East market, but it hasn't been easy. We made a lot of mistakes at the beginning, confesses Vincenti, but we learned fast. We're now starting to work in SE Asia, and things are much easier because we've taken important lessons on board in the Middle East. Vincenti puts using a good credit agency at the top of his lessons learned list. When you've invested time, effort, and money in making an export sale, you want to get paid. After wasting a lot of time chasing payments, a friend introduced me to Nailing and Hines. We learned that by using a credit agency to check out your customer's creditworthiness and to ensure against non-payment, you can make export virtually risk-free. Other lessons learned centered on adaptability. Be flexible. You have to learn to think outside the box, says Vincenti. And don't assume that what works well in your domestic market will automatically to go down well in another. You should also be prepared to modify your product specifications to meet local conditions and to focus on different aspects of the marketing mix. In the Middle East, for example, price is not everything. We started out trying to sell on price. We soon learned that over there, image, quality, and service are all more important. Vincenti also stresses that would-be exporters should make a firm commitment to export, but focus on the market rather than trying to sell all over the world. You don't succeed in export markets by giving them a couple of hours a week when things are slow at home. You have to put a lot of time, get out there and meet your customers, and manage your local distributors proactively. If you don't, it's game over. Eisenhart learned the hard way when they signed an exclusive deal with an agent had disappeared without trace. A final lesson is to remember that appearances can be deceptive, warns Vincenti. One day, we received a 15-word fax in approximate English from what seemed to be one man and a camel somewhere out in the desert. We thought it was a joke, but a week later, we decided we should answer it anyway. They're now our biggest customer. You don't succeed in export markets by giving them a couple of hours a week when things are slow at home.
The Jeddah Royal Beach Resort. The Jeddah Royal Beach Resort is one of Saudi Arabia's newest and most luxurious hotels. In a fiercely competitive market where foreign corporations provide 75% of revenues, every hotel from the 5-star palace to the 1-star motel needs to increase room revenues to be able to invest in new facilities to attract new clients. One of the major incentives in the Armory hotel marketing is credit. The Royal Beach, like many of its competitors, has its own credit manager, whose job is to manage the credit which the hotel uses to encourage customers to spend freely on additional services. One of Riaz Hussein's first innovations as credit manager was to introduce an in-house credit card to the Royal Beach. Such credit cards are increasing popular, allowing hotels to develop customer loyalty as well as to avoid paying commission to credit card companies. The Royal Beach advertises itself as a cashless resort. Customers are able to use their electronic membership card to make reservations via the internet, to speed up check-in and check-out, and to pay for a host of services, including accommodation, telephone and fax, restaurant and bar bills, leisure activities, limousines, airline tickets, and even cash advances with no exchange problems. With its own boutiques, nightclub, beach, water sports, and golf course, it's easy for guests from all over the world to spend several days in the sun and perhaps several weeks' salary with nothing more than their plastic smart card in their pocket. Riaz Hussein's responsibilities, including vetting corporate and individual applications for credit, following clients who reach or exceed their credit limits, and organizing debt recovery from indelicate guests or their corporate sponsors who forget to settle their bills.